নমস্কার। কোভিড-19 আনলকের প্রক্রিয়া এখন সারা দেশে শুরু হয়ে গেছে। এই সময় নিজের বাড়ির বাইরে তখনই বেরোবেন যখন খুব বেশি প্রয়োজন হবে। ফেস কভার বা মাস্ক পরার সময় লক্ষ্য রাখবেন যে মুখ আর নাক যেন ভালোভাবে ঢাকা থাকে। সার্বজনিক জায়গায় কমপক্ষে 2 গজের দূরত্ব রাখবেন। হাত আর শ্বাস সম্পর্কিত পরিচ্ছন্নতা পালন করুন। মনে রাখবেন সামান্য অসাবধানতাও সমস্যায় ফেলতে পারে। কাশি, জ্বর বা নিঃশ্বাস নিতে অসুবিধা হলে সত্ত্বেও ন্যাচারাল হেল্পলাইন নম্বর ০৩৩-২৪১-২৬০০ বা ন্যাচারাল হেল্পলাইন নম্বর ১০৭ এ যোগাযোগ করুন। ভারত সরকার ওয়াইফাই চলছে না থেকে উপর থেকে নেই এখনো আসেনি কখন আসবে জানি না ফোন করেছি বললো কখন আসবে এখনো জানি না ঠিক আছে
বলো
কোথায় তুই এসে গেছিস? ঠিক আছে, তোকে কি রেগুলার ডাকতে হবে নাকি রে গৌরব?
আসলে চার্জে ছিল, আমি জাস্ট ঢুকলাম আর তুমি
যা যা উল্টে গেল। তো প্রপার্টিজ অফ কোলয়েডস করবো, ঠিক আছে? তো প্রপার্টিজ অফ কোলয়েডস এ why you need to study actually the properties of colloids, that's the first thing that we need to answer. প্রথমে আমি বলেছিলাম colloidের সাইজ হচ্ছে the size of a colloid particles is greater than 1 nanometer and is less than uh, and is less than 1 micrometer, right? So this is the size of a colloidal particle. So this is the size of the colloidal particle. Now, just because it has got a huge amount of a very small size, that means it has got a huge amount of surface area. And when surface area is huge, that means essentially what you have got is unbalanced forces. And if you have got unbalanced forces, then adsorption is going to take place. They show special properties, right? So the properties of colloid is significantly different than the properties of a true solution. True solutions matlab kya hota hai? What do you mean by a true solution? True solution is where the size of the particles is approximately 10 to the power minus 10 meter. That means it is less than 1 nanometer. So this is essentially what a true solution is. This is the size of a molecule. Approximately the size of a molecule is 10 to the power minus 10 meter. So it is one order magnitude in size than that of a molecule, right? But it is much less than 1 micrometer, 10 to the power 6 micrometer, 10 to the power minus 6 meter. That means they will be showing some special properties which is different from true solutions, which is different from, say, for example, a suspension. So what we are doing today is, we intend to complete it today itself. What we are trying to do is this, we are trying to understand these special properties, right? Now let's try to understand the special properties one by one. First of all is colligative properties. Let's talk about colligative properties. Now you know that the colligative properties are essentially depends upon the number of particles. So let's see what happens to the colligative properties of a colloidal solution. Previously, what did we do? We tried to find out the colligative properties of solutions, where you vary the number, where you vary the concentration of the solute, you make different solutions, and ultimately you'll get different colloidal properties, right? Different colligative properties. So out here, you know that as far as elevation of binding point is concerned, delta TB is equal to KB into M, where M is the molarity. You know this. Similarly, you know that delta TF, that is the depression of freezing point, is given by KF into M. And also you know that the osmotic pressure pi V is equal to CRT. You know these expressions. These are the colligative properties. Right. Now, let's look into what will be the colligative properties. Will be having a higher magnitude than that of a true solution, or it will be lower than a true solution. Let's try to find out. So how do you write down M? So if I basically write down M is the molarity, that means I'm going to basically write down the weight of the solute divided by the molecular weight of the solute into M. M is the into what? The per kg of the solvent. So if you have got the kg of solvent as WA, then what you need to do, you need to multiply, divide it by, suppose this is in grams, then you multiply it by 1000. So this is what essentially the molality is. This is what the molality is, right? So you're expressing the WA in grams and you divide it by 1000 to make it kg. So when you write this, what kind of expression you get? You get like this. You get an expression like this, WB into 1000 divided by MWB into WA. Now this is the expression you get for molality. Now look out here. Colloidal particles, the size is much higher. If the size is much higher than that of a molecule, out here for a colloidal particle, the size is much higher than that of a molecule. It is between 1 micrometer and 1 nanometer, and the size of a molecule is less than 1 nanometer. That is 10 to the power minus 10 meter. That is the size of a molecule approximately. So out here, if the size is bigger, then naturally the molecular weight of this particular, or the weight of this molecular weight of each of the colloidal particles will be larger. So if the molecular weight is higher, then correspondingly delta TB will be lower. Similar is the case out here, and similar is also the case out here. That means, what is the inference you can make? The inference is that for colloidal solution, the magnitude of colligative property is lower. The magnitude of change in the boiling point or change in the freezing point or osmotic pressure, these are all decreased, So for colligative properties, you get the values, all of them have decreased value. Shormishta বোঝা গেছে? Gaurav?
বোঝা গেছে?
Divya beta?
हाँ.
ठीक है, Romita तो समझ में. चलो. So we have done with colligative properties. Next, what we do is what we call as a Tyndall effect. Right. First of all, what is Tyndall effect? If you look at the definition, it means it is a scattering. It is the scattering of light in a colloidal solution or by a colloidal solution. By a colloidal solution. This is the definition of a Tyndall effect. I'll explain. First of all, what is scattering of light? For scattering of light, you should have two conditions that has to be followed. There are two conditions for scattering. There are two conditions. What are these two conditions? Number one, the wavelength of light, that is lambda of light, cannot be much different from the particle dimension, particle size. I'll explain. And number two, let me first write down the 2 points. And number two, there should be substantial difference, in refractive index between the dispersing medium and the dispersing phase and the dispersed phase. These are the two definitions or the two conditions that have to be made for scattering of light to take place. What do you mean by scattering? Okay, you know about transmission, you know about absorption, right? You know about refraction, you know about all those things, right? You know about reflection, you know about all those things. What is scattering? Scattering is nothing. Suppose you have got a particle out here and light falls into this particular surface. So it is going to get scattered in all possible direction. This is what is called as scattering, right? So for this scattering to take place, there are two conditions. That the wavelength of this particular light cannot be much different from that of the particle size. They have to be comparable in size. छोटा होने से नहीं होगा, बहुत बड़ा होने से भी नहीं होगा. It has to be comparable size. That is the condition of a scattering. So this is my particle. So that is the condition of my scattering. And what is the other condition? Very simple. You know about refraction. A stick looks bent when you dip it into water. Why? Because light travels with different velocities in different mediums. So if it travels in different velocities in different medium, that means when it goes from one particular refractive index to another particular refractive index medium, its velocity changes. And as a result, it basically bends its way out. So scattering is also bending of light. So naturally, if you need to have substantial bending of light, the refractive index has to be different, very, very different. So that's what's exactly the second point is. Now, what I'm going to do first is this. I'm first going to explain you about how does light behave in a true solution. A true solution means when the particle size are less than 10 to the power minus 10 meter. And how does a light behave in a colloidal solution? I'll compare each one of them. And then, of course, I'm going to explain why this happens. First, right. So let me do one thing. Let me take a true solution out here. What I'm taking out here is a true solution. I'm taking a true solution container out here, right? And out here, what I'm doing is this. I'm taking a colloidal solution. So this is my colloidal solution. So this is my colloidal solution. And this is my true solution. And what I'm going to send is say, and what I'm going to do, ki Romita ki hocche TV chollo naki re? And what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to send a incident light out here. What I'm going to do is this. I'm going to send an incident light out here. Right. In both the cases, I'm going to send an incident light. Now let's see how the behavior actually changes. Right. Now, when a true solution is out here, you simply cannot observe the path through which the light is traveling through a true solution. It's totally transparent. But what you can see is this, the light, and if you put your eyes out here, what you can see is this, that this light is coming out just like that. Is that this light is coming out just like that without any change in wavelength? Nothing happens. The light is coming out. But you simply cannot follow. What you can see is this: you're sending light from here. You are sending light from in this particular direction, and you are saying the light coming out. But how it is traveling, in which angle it is traveling, what is the path that the light is taking, that you simply cannot observe in a true solution. That you cannot do. But out here, when you basically put light into a colloidal solution, once again the light may come out, may not come out. Once again the light may come out, may not come out. Assuming that light comes out, right? Assuming the light comes out here also. But out here, what you're going to see is this: across this colloidal solution, what you're going to see is the path of that particular light. That means you can see exactly from where the light is traveling, which path the light is taking. Of course, light flows in a straight line, but you could see that particular straight line also. Out here, you will not see anything. You just will see the light coming out. Here also, you may see the light coming out, but also what you see is this: the path through which the light is actually moving through. That you can observe out here. There's a fundamental difference between how light travels across a true solution and how light travels across a colloidal solution. Now let's try to understand what happens out here. Right. Suppose the beam of light is passing out here, and the size of the particle, suppose it will be just very small. Right? That means the size of the particle is just in this particular dimension. Say, for example, just in this particular dimension. So as the light is flowing through, what you can observe is this: that the particles are so small that it simply do not actually obstruct the way of the light. So light flows unperturbed. Nothing is going to disturb the light. It flows unperturbed because the size of the particles are so small. But out here, what you're going to see is this: that the particles have got a bigger size. The particles have got bigger size. And when the particles are having bigger size, certainly the light is going to get obstructed. Right? And when light is going to get obstructed, what is going to happen is this: light is basically going to get scattered in all possible directions. Light is getting to scattered in all possible directions. So why you can see basically the light flowing across a colloidal solution? Because lighting is getting scattered out here. The scattered light is actually reaching your eyes. How can I observe? Shormishta is sitting down in front of me. I observe it through my eyes, but how do my eyes observe? Actually, when light falls on Shormishta, it gets scattered on her body surface, on her face or her hands, and I could see that particular image in my eyes, the scattered light. Suppose I switch off the light, I make the room totally dark. I really cannot see Shormishta because light is not getting scattered. So essentially the light that scatters from a body, that allows us to visualize a particular person. That, okay, Gaurav looks like this. Romita looks like this. Divya looks like this. This is how we actually could observe because of scattering of light. So just like this, यहाँ पर भी क्या हो रहा है? Light is getting scattered in all possible directions. So when light is getting scattered in all possible directions, I can basically put my eyes 90-degree across this flow of path. That means the light is flowing in this particular direction. Look at me. The light is flowing in this particular direction. Just a moment. Yeah, the light is flowing in this particular direction, and I am seeing through perpendicular to the direction of the light. The propagation direction is this, and my view is this. So perpendicular. So when I put it in a perpendicular direction, I could actually see the light passage of the light because it is scattered. So this effect is called as the Tyndall effect, right? So this effect is called as the Tyndall effect. So we have done two processes now. One is the colligative property we have done, and the second thing what we have done is Tyndall effect. Shomishta বোঝা গেছে?
হ্যাঁ বোঝা গেছে।
Divya?
হ্যাঁ।
Gaurav, Romita?
हाँ सर।
ठीक, चलो. This is what the Tyndall effect. The third thing comes out here. Okay, fine. The color. Okay. What we may basically how do you observe the color of a third point? Color. What makes you see different colors? Nothing. Essentially, what is going to happen is this. Essentially, what is going to happen is this. Say, for example, I have got a particle out here. I have got, say, for example, a particle out. This is my colloidal particle. I have got a colloidal particle out here. Right? I have got a colloidal particle out here. Fine. Now, light is coming in this particular direction. The colloidal particles are big, therefore it is going to get scattered. So it scatters light. It scatters light. Right? Now, when you basically observe that which light is scattering in your direction, which light is scattering in your direction. That means if you put your eyes out here, you can see a different color. When you put your eyes out here, you can have a different color. You can, if you have got your eyes out here, you can observe a different color. That means from different sides, you may have actually a colloidal solution may show different color. Why? Because as the light falls out here, the wavelength which is getting scattered in this direction. Why they're getting scattered? Why different wavelengths essentially get scattered in different directions? Because light just does not compose of a single wavelength. It consists of many wavelengths. And depending upon the wavelengths, it is going to decide that which wavelength is going to scatter in which direction. Suppose out here, when my eyes is out here, suppose I assume that the red color is basically scattering in this particular direction more. What is red color? It has got a longer wavelength. Therefore, when I observe this from here, I'll find out red color. Suppose in this particular direction, the blue color gets scattered. Then if I look it from the bottom, I'll see blue color. So that's why we observe different colors at different directions for a colloidal suspension. It's not an uniform color. Right. That was number one. So number one is scattered light. Which angle? Scattered light and which angle? And which angle? The second point is like this. If you basically use, say, for example, a colloidal particle of this size, and use a colloidal particle of this size, and you use a colloidal particle of this size. So the size is changing. And basically, when size is changing, So when basically size is changing, the wavelength that you are sending will also get differently scattered. Obviously, the all light, because it depends also upon the size we told out here. We told out here, the lambda cannot be much different from the particle size. But much different is a vague term. The lambda can be still a little bit shorter than particle size, somewhat a bit more shorter than the particle size, a bit larger than the particle size. That means there can still be different wavelengths which are getting scattered. This is one thing. The other thing is this. I'm sending one particular, say for example, a few wavelengths, and I'm now changing the size. So once again, the wavelengths are going to get scattered in different directions. So two things actually decides about which color you are going to observe. That means a scattered light, in both the cases, a scattered light, but which wavelength is getting scattered in your observational view. That's the main thing. Say for example, if you look at the transmitted light, say for example, right, you have a gold sol. You have got, say for example, a gold sol. So what do you mean by sol? Essentially solid gold particles in a dispersing and in a liquid dispersing medium. A sol always means solid in liquid, and our interest lies essentially in sols, liquid dispersing medium. Suppose you have this, right? Now, suppose what you do is this. Suppose you take if you take fine gold salt particles, Fine gold salt particles. If you take fine, but smaller size, then what you're going to observe is this, that this is red in color. If you just increase the size, if you go on increasing the size, then from red, you will see that it is changing its color. First, it appears purple. Then it appears in, then they appear blue. And finally, it turns out to be golden. So it is all changing in colors, depending upon the size. So two things actually make scattering differently. One is the wavelength of the scattered light, which angle you are observing, and the size of the particles. These three things actually dictates the color of a colloidal solution. Romita, বোঝা গেছে? গৌরব, দিব্যা,
হ্যাঁ
हाँ
চলো। Four. Next comes Brownian motion. Brownian motion. Okay. Now everybody knows a little bit about Brownian motion. What is Brownian motion? It moves in a zigzag way. It moves in a zigzag way. The particles have got a zigzag motion. It's called as random, totally random motion. That is what is called as Brownian motion. Why does Brownian motion actually takes place? Very simple. Brownian motion essentially takes place with very fine particles. Why? Because fine particles are very small. That means the gravitational force occurring on these fine particles is very low. It has very low gravitational pull. That means they are going to remain suspended. Now, in air, in any fluid medium, it may be a gas, it may be a liquid, there are local fluctuations in temperature. There are local fluctuations in temperature. Local fluctuations in temperature. What does it mean? Say, for example, you have got, say, for example, a container, right? And into this particular container, you put down a thermometer. You essentially put down a thermometer. You put down a thermometer out here, right? And you take the reading. And you take the reading of the thermometer. You take the reading of this thermometer. You will say, sir, this solution has got a temperature of 27 degrees centigrade. Yeah, but what you are measuring is the average temperature. Why I'm saying is the average temperature? Because within this particular liquid or fluid, fluid means both liquid and gas. Here, the temperature may be slightly higher than at this particular total. This particular may have a temperature slightly different. Localized fluctuations. These are called as localized fluctuations. That's why local fluctuations. That means the temperature in this particular part of the fluid is different from the temperature out here from this particular fluid. And the temperature out here is different. So ultimately, the overall temperature is what you measure. That is a 27 degrees centigrade. Kitna difference hoga? Jada nahi, 27.005. That is something we cannot measure, but there are still local fluctuations. Now, whenever there is a local fluctuations, that means what? In this fluid medium, if the local temperature out here is high, the temperature is high, then the density is lower. If the density is lower, that means the pressure is also lower. That means out here, pressure is lower. Suppose the temperature out here is low. If the temperature out here is low, that means its volume is volume is high. If the volume is high, then the pressure will also be low, right? So what I'm trying to say is this: out here, so यहाँ पर the pressure low क्या? So let's say out here, let the temperature be low out here. If the temperature is low out here, then the volume will be low. If the volume will be low, then the pressure out here will be high. That means local fluctuations in temperature essentially gives rise to fluctuations in pressure. Small pressure, fluctuations in pressure. That means what's happening? That means all the molecules from this, out here the pressure was low, out here the pressure was high. That means all the molecules, gas molecules from this particular area is trying to come to from here to here, because out here the pressure was high and out here the pressure was low. So there will be movement of gaseous molecule or fluid molecules from high pressure regions to low pressure regions. এগুলো কিন্তু কোনো বইয়ে নেই, বুঝছিস কিনা দেখ, নি ছোট্ট করে লিখে, ঠিক আছে? High pressure region to low pressure region. Now let's look out here. So suppose this is my high pressure region. Suppose this is my high pressure region. And suppose this is my low pressure region. Low pressure region. So all the molecules of the mass molecules out here is going to try to do what? It's going to rush from here to here. They're going to rush from here to here. Right? Now, all these molecules resultant motion will be in this particular direction from here, from this packet to this packet. Now, if you have a small colloidal particles, so what is going to happen? This continuous bombardment of these particles is going to basically force this particular colloidal particles also to move in this particular direction. But this local fluctuations continuously changes, averaging 0. That means यहाँ पर पहले था, so this particle was moving in this particular direction. A little bit later, what's happening out here is this: the pressure now changes from here to here. Now this has become high pressure and this has become low pressure. So as soon as this particular colloidal particle reaches out here, now this movement starts. Now this movement starts out here. As soon as this movement starts, what is going to happen? The particle initially had moved from here to here. Now the particle is going to move in this direction. So likewise, the small colloidal particles, its mass is very low. It cannot actually stop the motion of this gaseous molecules. Instead, this gaseous molecules is going to throw the colloidal particles in all possible directions, giving rise to what we call as the Brownian motion. This is what the result of Brownian motion. Local fluctuations in temperature gives local fluctuations in pressure. Local fluctuation pressure means the gas is always move from higher pressure to lower pressure region. So as the gas moves from higher pressure region to lower pressure region, what's going to happen? They are going to basically push the colloidal particles from higher pressure regions to lower pressure regions. Right? This is number one thing that is going to happen. What is the other thing that is going to happen? The other thing that is going to happen is this, that the local fluctuations changes directions. So यहाँ पर पहले जा रहा है तो अभी यहाँ पर जाएंगे. कोर्स पढ़ाচ্ছি তো, রমিতা ভূমিতা আছে তো? Get out. ঠিক আছে, যা এখান থেকে। দিব্য আছে, শর্মিষ্ঠা আছে, গৌরব আছে, ও খালি রমিতার দিব্যা নেই। তুই নোংরা দিয়ে আমার হাত ধরছিস? জাস্ট গো এন্ড ওয়াশ ইওর হ্যান্ডস। আরে আমি বুড়ো হয়ে গেছি, মরে যাবো, যা। না আমার লাগবে না, আমি হাত দিয়ে আসবো। আমি এটা ধরবো না, আমি হাত দিয়ে আসবো, তুই যা। যা না এখান থেকে, পড়াতে দে না, স্টুপিড। আচ্ছা, সো দিস ইজ হোয়াট ইজ গোইং টু, দিস ইজ হোয়াট, যা না এসব চোখের সামনে দাঁড়িয়ে আছে।
নিয়েই নাও না।
হাতটা দিল কেন? আমি হাত দিতে বলেছি ওকে, স্টুপিড। আচ্ছা, সো This is going to basically what happened. That means what is going to happen is this: the particles are going to move from the colloidal particles is going to move from one particular direction to other particular direction. This is exactly what leads to Brownian motion. বুঝে গেছে? हाथ भी अच्छी तरह বুঝে গেছে? दिव्य समझ में आया बेटा?
हाँ
शर्मिष्ठा, गौरव, গৌরব,
হ্যাঁ
ও আমাকে, আমি বললাম তুই আমাকে নিতে বলে বোধহয় তুই নিজে আনতে গেছিস। Why you are disturbing them? You get out. About charge on colloidal particles. Now here you have to understand a little bit, not much. Charge on colloidal particles. Right. এটা একটু বোঝার আছে। এবং এটা this is actually a very important thing which you will be requiring. Charge on colloidal particles. This is the heart of properties of colloids. Right. This is the heart of colloidal particles. Now, suppose what we have got is a colloid, right? We have got a colloid out here. Now, whenever we have got a colloid, now I have given a regular shape. It is not always regular. It is not always regular. Why don't you close the door? Yeah, suppose this is a colloidal particle, right? It's not regular, and even though I am drawing it as a sphere, it is not sphere. It can be any shape, right? Now, they are very small, as I told you. So they are very small means all these molecules out here, essentially is going to have what they are going to have. They are basically going to, all these molecules at the surface are going to be unbalanced. They're all going to be unbalanced. So whenever they are being unbalanced, what they are going to try, they are going to try to take all the from the surrounding system. They are going to basically try and get some of the molecules absorbed on the top of it, so that it can actually balance the unbalanced force. This is what they try to do, right? Now the question is this: I have got, say for example, out here two different kinds of molecules. The question is which one they are going to absorb preferentially. यहाँ पर खाली ग्रीन रहेंगे ना, कहां पर ना खाली पिंक रहेंगे ना, it will be a mixture. That's the question that we need to answer, right? Simple. When we talked about, say for example, which one is going to get absorbed more between ammonia and water, you said ammonia and carbon dioxide. You said, sir, it is the ammonia that is going to get absorbed more because its dipole moment is not equal to 0, but out here its dipole moment is equal to 0. So out here also there's unbalanced force. In ammonia also there's unbalanced force. So isko unbalanced force, it will try to basically mitigate with the help of this surface, and surface ka jo unbalanced force, it will try to mitigate with the help of ammonia. That was the discussion that we had long back, maybe 3 classes back or 2 classes back, maybe 3. Right? That is what we said. Now, I'll perform 2 experiments. First of all, let me give you the summary. Preferential adsorption takes place of a common ion, takes place for a common ion. I'll explain. You have to remember this, right? So let me give you 2 examples. What I'm going to do is this: I am going to basically prepare colloidal particles of silver iodide. I am going to basically prepare colloidal suspensions of precipitate of silver iodide. So I'm going to make a colloidal solution of silver iodide. Right. Now I can basically do it in 2 different ways. Right? What are the 2 different ways? Let me just check it out. What I'm going to do is this: in the first instance, I am going to take, say for example, silver nitrate. What I'm going to do is this: I am going to take out here silver nitrate. Now silver nitrate is an electrolyte, so this solution is filled up with silver plus nitrate minus, silver plus nitrate minus is filled up with this. And from outside, what I'm going to do is this: I am going to add Ki. So Ki, the iodide of this, is going to basically react with silver plus and essentially form silver iodide. This is the precipitate that is getting formed. So let's assume this to be my silver iodide. This is my silver iodide particle, say for example. So this is what? This is essentially my silver iodide particle. Silver iodide particle. What did I say? Preferential adsorption. What did I say? Preferential adsorption takes place for a common ion. Now look out here. This is silver iodide, and the surrounding solution contains silver plus and nitrate minus. Which one is common? The silver plus ion is common to both the solution, surrounding solution, and the colloid. So what it is going to do is this: it is going to preferentially adsorb silver plus. It's preferentially going to absorb silver plus. Right. Now, I do the same experiment, but right now in a slightly different way. What is the way? I have taken another solution. And in this solution, what I've done is this: I have given Ki out here. Right? So out here, Ki is an electrolyte. So this will be K plus I minus K plus I minus K plus I minus. I've got these two ions. Now what I'm going to do is this. I am going to add silver nitrate from the top. So once again, the same reaction is going to take place. Silver iodide precipitate is going to get formed. But as the silver iodide is getting formed out here, what kind of ions it is seeing besides surrounding it? It is K plus and I minus. So this is my silver iodide. So this is my silver iodide. So what kind of ions it is seeing surrounding it? It has got silver plus and I minus. Which of the ions are common to silver iodide? It's the I minus. So out here, what's going to happen is this. I minus is going to get preferentially adsorbed on the surface. This is what we mean by preferential adsorb of the surface. Now, look out here. When this particular AgI, which is neutral in nature, adsorbs Ag plus on the surface, that means what I can say, this is, say, for example, my neutral ion, right? And on the surface of it, you have got the Ag plus. That means out here on the top, you have got plus ion, plus ion, plus ion, plus ion. Then overall, that means what you are having is this. You have got right now a surrounding of ions which is sitting down on the top of the surface, which is essentially positive in nature. Positive in nature. These are all positive in nature. That means this overall, this particular colloids becomes positively charged. Now, again, once again, if you look out here, this surrounding out here, it will be I minus. For this, it will be I minus. If this is I minus, then I can basically say like this. This particular colloids now essentially have a minus charge surrounding it. Have got a minus charge surrounding it. That means overall at the surface, you'll be having a minus charge surrounding it. That means overall, this particular colloid will be negatively charged. It will become negatively charged, even though silver iodide by itself was neutral, negatively charged. So this is how a colloid acquires charge. So this is how a colloid acquires charge. This is how a colloid acquires charge. This is a very important point that we are like to, you have to understand this, because all the points from now on will be dependent upon this particular idea. Let me ask, Gaurav, বোঝা গেছে? Gaurav? বোঝা গেছে গৌরব?
হ্যাঁ।
দিব্যা?
হ্যাঁ।
শর্মিষ্ঠা?
হ্যাঁ।
Romita?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
Very good. Now, let's say this particular solution, right, contains only say for example, silver nitrate. See, it has got only silver nitrate. Silver plus, nitrate minus. Silver plus, nitrate minus. That means I have got a silver nitrate solution. And I have given a little bit of Ki from the top. I have given a little bit of Ki from the top. So, each one of these particles will essentially now, potassium iodide is going to get formed. Silver iodide is going to get formed. So silver iodide is going to form. Let this be my colloids. This be my small colloids that are getting formed, the precipitates. Now, all these colloids are made up of what? All these colloids are made up of silver iodide. They're all made up of silver iodide. They're all made up of silver iodide. And in the surrounding, you have got silver plus ions. So the silver plus ions is going to settle down on each of these colloids. That means what? Each of these particular colloids will be having plus charges on top of it. So each of these colloids is going to have plus charges. Now, so what I'm having right now? What I'm having right now, now look out here. Let's go look. 6. 6. Stability of ions. Stability of ions. Now say for example, this is my colloid. I have got a colloid out here. And I have got another colloid out here. Now what is going to happen? Once again, what is going to happen? Lot of surface area. Very high surface area for both of them. There can be any number. I'm just explaining with 2. Very high surface area. Very high surface area means lots of unbalanced energy, lots of unbalanced energy, unbalanced forces. So they will be in tension. So there will be tension, lots of unbalanced forces. So what will be the natural tendency of these colloids to do? What will be the natural tendency? What will be the natural tendency of these colloids? The natural tendency of these colloids is to decrease this tension, decrease the tension. So it will be natural tendency will be to decrease the tension. So how can they basically decrease the tension? They can basically decrease the tension by simply coming together. By simply coming together. When they simply come together, what's happening, you see, as far as this particular surface is concerned, as far as this particular colloid is concerned, or this particular colloid is concerned, or this particular colloid is concerned, or this particular colloid is concerned, they have come together, and by coming together, what did they do? They actually have decreased the surface area. They have actually decreased the surface area. And when they decrease the surface area, surface tension also decreases. So the natural tendency of a colloid particle is to form aggregate. That is the natural tendency. That is, they are trying to form aggregates. This is the natural tendency. Clear? Why colloidal particles will aggregate? Gaurav, clear?
Yes, sir.
Divya, clear? Or Mr. Clear?
Yeah.
Romita? Romita? No. So the natural tendency for any colloidal particles is to aggregate. Now, what's happening out here? By preferentially adsorbing out here, what's happening is this, all of them have now become positively charged. That means what I can do out here is this. Now, by basically having a precipitate of silver iodide in silver nitrate solution, if you have got silver iodide precipitate in silver nitrate solution, all these colloid particles will be having positive charge on the surface. Similarly, this will be having a positive charge on the surface. So when both of them are having positive charge, then what is going to happen between interaction between this particle and this particle? Essentially, there will be repulsion. And repulsion is given by which expression? F is equal to Q1, Q2 by R square, the Coulomb's law. That means as the particle starts approaching, coming towards it, R is decreasing. If R is decreasing, the force of repulsion is increasing. So as the particles comes very close with each other, the repulsion will be very strong. And as a result, the particles cannot form aggregate because of the repulsive forces that are being generated by the colloidal particles, which have acquired charges from the electrolytic solution. So this is how stability of colloidal particles actually results. This is the key concept that you need to understand as far as colloidal properties are concerned. Clear? Is that clear? Divya?
Yes.
Shormishta?
And
Romita? Okay, take it. So this is how the stability of ions takes place. Now what you are going to do is, we are going to basically define two things. One of them is called as the Helmholtz electrical double layer. And number two is zeta potential. Both of them are related. Let me explain. Right? So what you have done out here, let's make a solution. Let's have a solution out here. Let's have a solution out here. Right? And let me have a colloidal particle. Let me have a colloidal particle. Right? And this colloidal particle be A. Let this colloidal particle be A and B. Right? Out here, I have got A plus and say, for example, D minus. So this electrolyte is AD. So A plus, D minus, A plus, D minus, A plus, D minus, A plus, D minus, likewise. So this solution is filled up with an electrolyte A plus D minus. Now, the common ion in the out here is A. So this is basically going to do what? All this A plus is going to come and sit down at the surface. Preferentially. Kichu kichu je B thakbe na ta na, kichu kichu D o thakbe. But preferentially, A plus is going to sit down. Right? So what I'm having out here is this. I have got a core of A plus ions sitting tightly, rigidly on the surface of the colloid. Now this is A plus. This entire thing has now become A plus. So naturally right now what is going to happen is this. The D minus is going to come towards this A plus now. And this will be a diffuse layer. That means there will be a higher concentration of D minus in the vicinity of AB colloid than it is in the bulk. Right? So, how can I basically draw this? So this you see, first of all, I have got the colloid, which was immersed in an electrolyte. It does preferentially absorb the A plus, which sits tightly on the surface, rigidly held by the surface. Then just because this has now become positive, there will be negative charge surrounding it. There will be the D minus charge surrounding it. That means what I'm going to say, the concentration of A plus on the surface is higher than it is in the bulk. And the concentration of D minus in the outer circle is also higher than that in the bulk. So across this particular colloidal particle, I have got two charges. I have got two charges whose concentration is significantly different from that of the bulk. Let me draw this in a special way now, in a simple way now. Just looking into this. So I have got this particular colloidal particle, and I have got, say, for example, the positive charge sitting on the top of it. Positive charge sitting on top of it. So this is my positive charge. This is all my positive charge, plus, 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 and plus. And then surrounding it, I have got the minus charges, minus, 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 minus. And far away from the surface, it is once again minus, 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 and far away, they are once again becoming neutral. So this is the kind of a structure you are having. So this one is what? This one is rigidly held. So this one is what? This one is rigidly held. Rigidly held ionic layer. Rigidly held ions. And this one is diffuse layer of counter ions. What do you mean by counter ions? अगर यहाँ पर प्लस होगा तो यहाँ पर माइनस होगा, अगर यहाँ पर माइनस होगा तो counter प्लस होगा. So this is what it means. Now look out here, the important point. This layer, this plus rigidly held and the diffused layer together is called as the Helmholtz double layer. So what is Helmholtz double layer? Helmholtz double layer is the rigidly held ionic layer at the surface along with the diffused counter ion layer in the periphery of the surface is called as the Helmholtz double layer. This is what is called as Helmholtz double layer. Right. Very good. Now, look out here, the important point. So you have understood what is Helmholtz double layer. Plus, 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 minus, minus, minus. यहाँ पर भी minus है, यहाँ पर भी plus है, यहाँ पर भी plus है. लेकिन overall concentration out here of plus is much lower than in the bulk. Overall concentration of the minus out here is much higher than in the bulk. Similarly, the overall concentration of the plus ion sitting out here is much higher than in the bulk. The minus ions sitting in the surface is much lower than in the bulk. So these two layers are called as the Helmholtz double layer. Now look out here. That means this particular thing, this particular thickness is essentially positively charged. And if you look at this outer surface, this is essentially minus. So you have got a plus charge out here, you have got a minus out here. That means there is a charge separation. There's a charge separation out here between this inner layer and this outer layer. If there's a charge separation, there will be a potential difference. That means if you put a plus charge out here, say for example, if you put a plus charge out here, suppose it's a test plus charge, अगर यहाँ पर आप देते हो, suppose you have got a plus charge out here, then the plus charge is going to move in this particular direction. It's going to get away from this plus surface. So this is the direction. So the potential direction will be this. So there will be a potential difference. This potential difference between the rigidly held layer and that of the double layer, the counter ion layer, is called as the zeta potential. Zeta potential. Or it has got a name, alternative name called as electrokinetic potential. This is what the definition is. That means Helmholtz double layer and zeta potential. দেখে নে বইটা বা পড়ে নে। Study from whichever book you have till zeta potential. এটুকু পড়, এনসিইআরটি বইটা পড় বা গৌরব তোর বইটা পড়, আমি এক্ষুনি আসছি। Study this much. দেখ বুঝতে পারছিস কিনা? This is the main thing out here. This is the only thing that you need to understand. বাকিগুলো এর পরে পরে আসবে। রমিতা বোঝা গেছে? রমিতা বোঝা গেছে? রমিতা?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, হ্যাঁ স্যার।
পুরো পুরো পরিষ্কার?
হুম
অনেক কিছু বোঝার ছিল বল।
হুম
রমিষ্ঠা বোঝা গেছে? দিব্যা বেটা?
हाँ
গৌরব? गौरव भाग गया वो। अच्छा
हाँ
दिव्या तू है कल से तेरा एग्जाम है क्या दिव्या?
परसों
परसों নম্বর বেরিয়েছে শর্মিষ্ঠা পরীক্ষার? হ্যাঁ একই না বেরিয়ে গেছে? বুঝতে পারছি না, হ্যাঁ কি না বুঝতে পারছি না,
হ্যাঁ বেরোয়।
বেরোয়নি, ঠিক আছে চল। चलो, so we have talked about zeta potential. अभी तो और कुछ है नहीं। अभी चलो हम लोग क्या करते हैं, we take a container. Now what I am going to do is right now I'm going to explain electrophoresis. Electrophoresis. What is electrophoresis? Electrophoresis is like this. Say you have got a solution out here, dispersing medium. And in this dispersing medium, you have got a lot of colloids. You have got colloids out here. You have got colloids out here. You have got colloids out here. Now what you're going to do is this, you are going to insert two platinum electrodes. You are going to insert two platinum electrodes. You are going to insert two platinum electrodes, okay, at the surface. And what you are going to do is this, you are going to give them a high voltage. You're going to give them a high voltage. This has now therefore becomes plus, and this has now become minus, right? And what you're going to do is this, you're going to send light from here. So what you're going to do is you're going to send light from here. You're going to send a light from here. So this is my light, right? And what you have got out here, you have also got a microscope out here. You have got a microscope out here. You have got a microscope out here. You have got a microscope out here. So this is my microscope. Now each of this particular colloidal particle, out here is charged. Each of this particular colloidal particle out here is charged. Each one of them is charged. Each of them is charged. Why they are charged? Because I've just explained. This is why they get charged. This is why they get charged out here. So each one of them is charged, say for example. So taking them to be plus charge, positively charged. So this is plus, this is plus, this is plus, this is plus, assuming they are plus. Now what's going to happen? When you basically apply this electrical field, all these particles are going to move in this particular direction. And you can observe that they are moving in this particular direction by how? With the help of a microscope. And you are putting a light. So what is light going to do? They are basically going to do what? They are basically going to scatter. The colloidal particles is going to scatter light. And this scattered light is going to come and fall into the earth's microscope. So what you're going to see? You are just going to see as if these colloidal particles are like stars, twinkling stars in the dark background, just like night in the dark background. And they are all moving in a particular direction. This movement of a colloidal particles under the application of an electrical field is called as electrophoresis. This is what electrophoresis is all about. Clear? Sure, Mr. Romita, Divya, बाकी सब क्या? गौरव
हाँ
then comes electroosmosis. Suppose, what is electroosmosis? If one stops the movement of colloidal particles, somehow, then the dispersing medium starts to move. And this process is called as electroosmosis. Up to the boyas. And this process is called as electroosmosis. So you have defined electrophoresis, movement of colloidal particles. That is electrophoresis under application of electrical field. And what is electroosmosis? If you somehow stop the movement of the colloidal particles, then the dispersing medium is going to move in the opposite direction. So that is what is called as electroosmosis. So we have done these definitions also. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to look into stability of colloids. That's the last section of this chapter. The stability of colloids. Is the stability of colloids of coagulation and precipitation. Chalo. Next is coagulation and precipitation. Let's try to understand what is coagulation and what is precipitation. They are almost similar, but not similar. They are not exactly similar. I explain. Now, I have got, say, for example, a colloidal solution. I have got, say, for example, a colloidal solution out here. And I have got small particles into it. I've got small particles into it. Right? Now, what's happening? Let's see. Now, these particles are so small that gravitational force is insignificant. Number one. And number two, Brownian motion is also there. So what is Brownian motion going to do? As these two particles collide with one another, say for example, one small particle comes out and collide with another one, Brownian motion is immediately going to drive these particles away. Take it. Very good. Now, there's a third point into it also. Third point is also there is inherent tendency of colloidal particles is to form aggregate. Is to form aggregate. These are the three things that are happening. Right. Now, if the colloidal particles are not stabilized, they are going to get aggregated. If the colloidal particles are not stabilized, that means stabilization ज़्यादा नहीं है, they are going to aggregate. When they aggregate, what happens? All these small particles is going to come and form a colloids out, form a aggregate out here. This is my aggregate. This is my aggregate that is getting formed. This is my aggregate. This is my aggregate that is getting formed. Now, as soon as this aggregate is getting formed, ऐसी करके बहुत सारा aggregate मेरा form हो रहा है. बहुत सारा aggregate मेरा form हो रहा है. Here is another aggregate. Here is another aggregate. So बहुत सारा छोटा बड़ा सब aggregate form हो रहा है. So these are the different aggregates that are getting formed. Now, as soon as these aggregates are formed, now suddenly this entire group of particles now behaves like a single unit. They behave like a single unit. They behave like a single unit. And when they behave like a single unit, now gravitational force becomes significant. And when the gravitational force becomes significant, they are going to get precipitated. They'll form down, they'll fall down as precipitate. आके floor में settle कर जाएंगे. So देखो, coagulation is what? Coagulation is this coming of the particles together to form an aggregate. That is coagulation. And precipitation is what? Precipitation is a consequence of coagulation. So precipitation and coagulations are not the same thing. पहले मेरा discrete particle था, छोटा छोटा particle था, हम लोग का gravitational force insignificant था, Brownian motions था, they are going to basically take the particle away. But when the stability is not there, these particles are going to get aggregated. Slowly, they are going to have bigger and bigger size. When it will be having bigger and bigger size, what is going to happen? They will become heavy. And as they become heavy, they are going to precipitate down. So coagulation and precipitation are not the same. But precipitation is a consequence of coagulation. বুঝা গেছে? Is it clear? What about the others? Romita বুঝে গেছে, শর্মিষ্ঠা? গৌরব?
হ্যাঁ।
So now this is what precipitation and coagulation is. Right. Now there are suppose you have got dirty water. In water there are a lot of impurities that are there, right? Those impurities are not good for health, and they are in the colloidal form, very well stabilized. That means the particles will remain discrete. Now that is water has to be purified. So what I need, I need to purify the water. How can I purify the water? I need to separate the impurities from water, which are in colloidal form. That means what? That means just simply put out here, I need to undergo the colloidal process. I need to undergo this aggregation process. यहाँ पर this is what my water, छोटा छोटा particle था. I need to do something so that the stability of the small particles gets disturbed. Once the stability is finished, they are going to get aggregated. Once they start becoming aggregation, after a certain size has been reached, they are going to precipitate. So one of the main techniques of purification of water or industrial waste is carrying out the process of coagulation followed by precipitation. So right now what we are going to do is we are going to try to find out how to precipitate well dispersed colloidal salts. This is our last topic. How do we precipitate well dispersed colloidal salts? And when we talk about colloidal salts, these colloidal salts can either be hydrophobic or lyophobic, whatever you say, or lyophobic, and or it may be hydrophilic or lyophilic. Right. Now it has been observed this particular is hydrophilic or lyophilic salts are more stable. They are more stable than the hydrophobic. Now what we are going to do is this. We are going to find out certain methods with the help of which you can actually disturb the stability of colloids and force them to precipitate. This is something which I've got a lot of practical applications, so it might be very important from your examination viewpoint also. if that all decides to give a question from this particular chapter. What? Number one is very simple. Number one method is by electrophoresis. ठीक है. What do you mean by electrophoresis? क्या किया था हम लोग इलेक्ट्रोफोरेसिस में? कोलॉइडल पार्टिकल्स आ रहा है, यहाँ पर गए, चार्ज दे दी, इनको ऊपर में और कोई चार्ज नहीं है, तो यहाँ पर किसी को चार्ज नहीं है, इस पार्टिकल्स को भी कोई चार्ज नहीं है, दोनों को भी एकदम टोटली नेकेड हो गया, कोई चार्ज पार्ज कुछ नहीं है, अट्रैक्शन हो गया, एग्रीगेट फॉर्म कर गया, कोआगुलेशन हो गया. दिस इज वन पर्टिकुलर वे. What do you do? Once again, I repeat, these charged particles move, come to the electrode, take away an electron or give away an electron. Charge खत्म. ऐसे करके बहुत सारा colloids का charge खत्म हो गया. Now they are not stabilized. They are going to try to
Aggregation.
They are going to reduce their surface area. How do they reduce their surface area? By forming aggregate. वो पहले छोटा aggregate था, तब भी नहीं गिरा. और बड़ा हुआ, ऐसी बढ़ते बढ़ते now a critical aggregation size is there, जहां पर gravitational force now becomes operational and they fall down. So electrophoresis is one method. So by electrophoresis. What is the second method? The second method is essentially my mixing two opposite salts. Mixing two opposite salts, oppositely charged salts. कुछ है नहीं. ये मेरा है, ये मेरा है एक solution. This is my one solution. यहाँ पर मेरा दूसरी solution है. I have got दूसरी solution यहाँ पर है मेरा. ठीक है. यहाँ पर मेरा क्या है? Out here I have got one particular colloids. I have got one particular colloids. यहाँ पर मेरा क्या है? यहाँ पर मेरा दूसरी तरीका का colloids है. I have got a second type of colloids out here. I have got a second type of colloids out here. इसको ऊपर में मैंने क्या है? इसमें ऊपर में मैं पकड़ लेता है. जिसमें मेरा पॉजिटिव चार्ज है. My surrounding में also that doesn't mean that this particular colloid is positively charged. इसको ऊपर में surface में जो ions absorb कर किया, that has given them a positive charge. इसमें मैं पकड़ लिया, इसमें negative charge है. अभी क्या किया है मैंने? अभी मैंने जो किया, basically I have taken this and यहाँ से मैंने इसको गिरा दिया, mix कर दिया. I mixed it. What I am doing out here is mixing. What I am doing out here is essentially I am mixing. When I am mixing this, what's happening? This plus charge, इसके ऊपर में जो plus charge था और इनका ऊपर जो negative charge था, दोनों एक अपर के खत्म करते हैं. They are going to neutralize one another. So by mixing two salts, essentially the colloidal stability will go away. This is the second one. We are talking right now about हाइड्रोफोबिक सॉल्ट का स्टेबिलिटी कैसे लूज करता है. दिस वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट हाइड्रोफोबिक सॉल्ट्स. ये 2 नंबर पॉइंट हो. नाउ लेट्स कम टू द थर्ड पॉइंट. व्हाट इज द थर्ड पॉइंट? थर्ड पॉइंट इज बॉइलिंग. बॉइलिंग इज वेरी सिंपल टू अंडरस्टैंड. कुछ है ही नहीं. दिस इज माई कोलॉइडल पार्टिकल्स. This is, say for example, my outer periphery of ions. This is my outer periphery of ions. ठीक है. पकड़ लो. इसमें मेरा क्या चार्ज है? Let's assume that इसके ऊपर मेरा पॉजिटिव चार्ज है. पकड़ लेता है. It can be minus also. Plus 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 है. Now when I am boiling the solution, what's happening? यहाँ से मेरा solvent molecule आके इसके धक्का मर रहा है. यहाँ पर से मेरा solvent molecule आके धक्का मर रहा है. As well as the negative charge is also now coming because it's boiling. There is total chaos. पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव सब बराबर एक साथ में हो जाता है. तो यहाँ पर बहुत सारा नेगेटिव आयन घुस जाता है. And it is going to basically dislodge this particular layer also. ये जहां पर एब्जॉर्ब करके बैठे थे, If you increase the temperature, boiling means increase the temperature. If you increase the temperature, what is going to happen? This जो adsorb layer, ये भी छोड़ के भाग जाएंगे इसके surface से. तो अगर you remember, adsorption is inversely proportional to temperature. क्या था ना?
हाँ.
तो जितना boiling means you are increasing the temperature. अगर if you increase the temperature, what is going to happen? Proportional to temperature. अगर आपने टेम्परेचर ज्यादा किया तो डिसॉर्प्शन मेरा रेट ज्यादा हो जाएगा. इफ द डिसॉर्प्शन इज हायर, दैट मींस वंस अगेन माय दिस कोलॉइडल पार्टिकल नाउ बिकम्स ऑलमोस्ट नेकेड. इसके ऊपर कोई चार्ज है ही नहीं. अगर कोई चार्ज नहीं है तो स्टेबिलिटी गया तो एग्रीगेशन स्टार्ट तो एग्रीगेशन स्टार्ट, जो चलते रहेंगे, प्रेसिपिटेशन हो जाएगी. सो बॉइलिंग इज द थर्ड पॉइंट. फोर्थ point is continuous dialysis. डायलिसिस अगर आपको याद है क्या पता नहीं, डायलिसिस में हम लोग क्या की थी. से दिस इज माय डायलिटिक चेंबर, दिस इज से फॉर एग्जांपल माय डायलिसिस चेंबर. यहाँ पर मेरा इनलेट है, यहाँ पर मेरा आउटलेट है. यहाँ से मेरा क्या हो रहा है, यहाँ से मेरा सॉल्वेंट घुस रहा है, यहाँ से सॉल्वेंट निकल रहा है, और बीच में मेरा क्या है, बीच में मेरा एक ये मेरा कोलॉइडल सॉल्यूशन है. इसके ऊपर में क्या है, इसके ऊपर में मैं सेलोफेन पेपर दे दी, बा एनिमल ब्लैडर दे दी, कुछ ना कुछ दे दी. तो अगर एनिमल ब्लैडर सब कुछ दे दी तो मेरा क्या हो गया बता, मेरा इसमें क्या हो गया बता. तो अभी यहाँ से electrolytes are coming out, all the electrolytes are coming out. So if you go on continuously calling a dialysis, इसका ऊपर में भी जो आयन बैठे रहे थे, all these ions are also going to get dialyzed out. That means this once again becomes absolutely devoid of any ions. बस कोagulation start होगा, precipitation हो जाएगा. So this is continuous dialysis. और कुछ पॉइंट है? बस और एक दो है. Now comes 11. Two, three, four, five. This is where usually a short question comes by addition of electrolytes. यहाँ पर एक law है, that law is basically an empirical law, right? You don't have to, there is no explanation, but quantitative explanation here, qualitative you understand. Hardy-Schulz law, the Schulz-Hardy law. S-C-H-U-L-Z-E, Hardy-Schulz law. Sometimes questions from this section comes, Hardy-Schulz law. What is this? यही तो मेरा इलेक्ट्रोलाइट है भाई, यही तो मेरा इलेक्ट्रोलाइट है. दिस इज माय कोलॉइड. इसको ऊपर मैंने पकड़ लेता है, प्लस चार्ज है. आई एम अज्यूमिंग इसको ऊपर प्लस चार्ज है. ये प्लस चार्ज क्या कर रहे थे, ये प्लस चार्ज, और यहाँ पर मेरा दूसरी एक आयन है, ठीक है. ये इसके ऊपर में भी प्लस चार्ज है, पहले तो रिपल्शन होने के लिए ये लोग अलग था. अभी क्या कर रहे हैं, लेट मी जस्ट पुट इनटू इट, इसको अंदर में मैंने क्या कर दिया, दोनों को बीच में आई एड द नेगेटिव आयन, प्लस चार्ज था, ऑपोजिट काउंटर आयन, एड काउंटर आयन. করো না, করে দেখো না কি করো। কোনো লোক ধরলে আমাকে দিয়ে দিও। অ্যাড काउंटर आया, यू आर एडिंग नाउ काउंटर आया, ठीक है। हाँ, मैंने प्लस है, माइनस चार्ज डाल दो, ऊपर में प्लस है तो ऐड माइनस चार्ज। माइनस चार्ज क्या करेंगे, इसके ऊपर जो पॉजिटिव चार्ज है इसके ऊपर में नेगेटिव चार्ज आ जाएंगे। नेगेटिव चार्ज नहीं आएंगे, ये प्लस चार्ज को खत्म कर देंगे, इसको भी प्लस चार्ज को खत्म कर देंगे। जितना प्लस चार्ज आए वहां पर पूरा माइनस चार्ज बैठ गया उसके ऊपर, ये भी उनका ऊपर माइनस चार्ज, जितना प्लस चार्ज है उतना माइनस चार्ज इसके ऊपर बैठ गया। तो दोनों के बीच में प्लस माइनस जीरो चार्ज हो गया, इसके ऊपर भी जीरो चार्ज हो गया। फिर मेरा कोआगुलेशन, फिर मेरा प्रेसिपिटेशन। यू जस्ट एडिंग द काउंटर। अगर पॉजिटिवली चार्ज सॉल्व है उसमें नेगेटिव आयन डालो, नेगेटिव आयन क्या करेंगे, पॉजिटिव चार्ज को पास चला जाएंगे, वहां पर ऊपर जाके बैठ जाएंगे। सरफेस का चार्ज खत्म, दोनों सरफेस को चार्ज खत्म है, दे आर गोइंग टू कम टुगेदर, कोआगुलेशन, यही हो जाएगा। अगर मेरा नेगेटिवली चार्ज आ रहा था तो तब क्या करेंगे, अगर सपोज से फॉर एग्जांपल आई हैव गॉट नाउ टू कोलॉइड्स आउट हियर, आई हैव गॉट टू कोलॉइड्स आउट हियर, अभी इसके ऊपर में मेरा नेगेटिव चार्ज, नेगेटिव चार्ज, इसके ऊपर मेरा नेगेटिव चार्ज,
तो पॉजिटिव चार्ज डालेंगे।
अच्छा एब्सोल्युटली। अभी क्या करना है मुझे, अभी मुझे इसके ऊपर में पॉजिटिव, इसके ऊपर में मुझे क्या करना है, पॉजिटिव चार्ज डाल, ऐड काउंटर आया, दैट मींस प्लस चार्ज, बस फिर एक ही कहानी खत्म। नाउ what is this Hardy law or Hardy-Schulz law? What is this? Very simple, कुछ नहीं बोलता, बोलता है यहाँ पर मुझे क्या देना पड़ता है, माइनस चार्ज देना पड़ेगा। तो माइनस चार्ज को लिए दिखा गया, इट्स अ क्वालिटेटिव रूल, ठीक है, दैट FeCN4, सॉरी, दिखा गया FeCN4 minus 4, FeCN4 6 minus 4 is greater than PO4 whole 3 minus PO4 minus 3 greater than SO4 minus 2 is greater than Cl minus. It is in terms of precipitating power. What does it mean? It means like this. जे एफिशिएंसी अगर थोड़ा ऐड करेंगे तो तुरंत प्रेसिपिटेट हो जाएंगे, इसको पावर ज्यादा है तो यू रिक्वायर वेरी स्मॉल अमाउंट, और इसको सबसे कम है, यू रिक्वायर अ लॉट ऑफ क्लोरीन माइनस टू बेसिकली स्टार्ट द कोआगुलेशन प्रोसेस। सिमिलरली यहाँ पर क्या दिखा गया, यहाँ पर दिखा गया एल्यूमिनियम प्लस 3 आयंस हैज गॉट ग्रेटर देन Ba प्लस 2 आयंस इज ग्रेटर देन सोडियम प्लस आयंस। माने ये ऐसा इलेक्ट्रोलाइट बाहर से क्या ऐड कर रहा है, बाय एडिंग इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स। इस इलेक्ट्रोलाइट में क्या है, दिस आर द एनायंस प्रेजेंट, इस इलेक्ट्रोलाइट में क्या है, दिस आर द कैटायंस प्रेजेंट। तो इफ यू लुक एट दिस लॉ एंड दिस लॉ, इफ यू लुक एट दिस टू लॉज टुगेदर, अगर अपने ये दोनों लॉ एक साथ में देखेंगे, अगर ये दोनों चीज एक साथ में देखेंगे तो क्या मतलब हो गया मेरा, वेरी सिंपल, ये दोनों लॉ एक साथ में देखेंगे तो व्हाट डज इट कम्स अराउंड, जितना ज्यादा चार्ज होगा काउंटर आएगा उतना जल्दी मेरा प्रेसिपिटेट करेंगे, जितना ज्यादा मेरा चार्ज होगा काउंटर एनायन का उतना जल्दी मेरा प्रेसिपिटेट करेंगे। दिस इज व्हाट इज नोन एज Hardy law. Greater the valence of the flocculating ion added, greater is its power. So greater the valence charge, greater the valence of the flocculating ion, लिख दो। So what is this Hardy law? Greater the charge or valence बराबर of the flocculating ion greater is its power of precipitation. This is the law. ठीक है? Greater the charge of the flocculating, greater is the power of precipitation. This is a simple law. ठीक है? Clear? Clear to all of you? Very good. This is Joule particle. So this is what you have done. You have done this all for what? For hydrophobic or hydrolyophilic sauce. 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 point, 5 point. ठीक है? Oh, इनको साथ और एक चीज है. It's another particular definition is there. This is all definition based chapter. Problem ज्यादा कुछ आता नहीं है इसमें. आएगा वो भी simple आएगा. There's another particular definition which is called as the coagulating value. Coagulating value. इसका मतलब क्या होता है? कुछ है नहीं. Minimum concentration of the flocculating electrolyte. Minimum concentration of the flocculating electrolyte expressed in millimoles per liter required to cause precipitation within 2 hours. बस सिंपल. आपने 0.1 मिलीमोल दिया, 2 दिन इंतजार किया, कुछ नहीं हुआ. 0.15 मिलीमोल दिया, 2 दिन इंतजार किया, 1 दिन इंतजार किया, कुछ नहीं हुआ. 0.1.75 मिलीमोल्स पड़ा, 2.5 आवर्स में गिर गया, वो भी नहीं है. 2 मिलीमोल्स दिया पर लीटर, 2 घंटे में प्रेसिपिटेशन पड़ गया. That is the minimum concentration you require to precipitate within 2 hours. That is called as the coagulating value. बस खत्म आज. So ये था मेरा लायोफोबिक का. अभी आएगा लायोफिलिक. 2 मिनट लगेगा. लायोफिलिक पीपीटी. लायोफिलिक सॉल्यूशन कोलॉइड्स का पीपीटी. कुछ है नहीं. लायोफिलिक मीन्स सॉल्वेंट लविंग. सॉल्वेंट लविंग है माने क्या है? मेरा ये है मेरा कोलॉइड, ये है मेरा कोलॉइड. ठीक है? इसके ऊपर में क्या है? इसको ऊपर में it does what? It basically loves the solvent. ये मेरा सॉल्वेंट को पसंद करता है, बहुत सारा सॉल्वेंट को पसंद करता है. इसको बीच में भी सॉल्वेंट है, बहुत सारा सॉल्वेंट है सभी को बीच में. और आयंस भी दे दिया आपने, अपने आयंस भी दे दिया, तो आयंस इसको ऊपर बैठ गया. ठीक है? इनको ऊपर आयंस बैठ गया. The 2 ways you can actually, ये सब सॉल्वेंट पसंद करता है. ठीक? तो आपने क्या किया? सपोज इफ द मीडियम इज वाटर, सपोज द मीडियम इज वाटर, इसको ऊपर अगर आपने एसीटोन देंगे बा इथेनॉल देंगे, अल्कोहल देंगे, तो एसीटोन एंड इथेनॉल लव्स वाटर. ये पूरा वाटर ना इस लेयर से पूरा सूस लेंगे. It's going to suck all the water out from the surface. Once it sucks all the water out from the surface, क्या होगा? बस खत्म. पीपीटी फॉर्म कर जाएंगे. अगर मछली को पानी से निकाल देंगे तो क्या होगा? मछली खत्म. ये कोलॉइड्स बेचारा पानी पसंद करते थे, पानी हटा दिया, मर गया, खत्म. फिर से प्रेसिपिटेट हो गया. और यू कैन ऐड इलेक्ट्रोलाइट. सेम स्टोरी लाइक दैट. फ्लोकुलेटिंग इलेक्ट्रोलाइट, ऑपोजिट साइड का इलेक्ट्रोलाइट डाल दो, कहानी खत्म. These are the 2 ways by which you can actually destroy a lyophilic colloids का precipitation ले पाएंगे. 2 ways. Either add a solvent which can basically extract the water out like acetone or ethanol for water, or you basically add a flocculating electrolyte. These are the 2 ways. और एक छोटा सा डेफिनेशन है, वो डेफिनेशन बेस्ड है, ओनली फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वही चार्ज स्टेबिलिटी को बारे में समझना था और कुछ समझ में नहीं जरूरी नहीं है। डेफिनेशन बेस्ड इट्स अ वेरी इजी थिंग, ज़्यादा क्वेश्चंस नहीं देते हैं, 2-4 नंबर देंगे अगर देगा। एसोसिएटेड कोलैप्स, जिससे होता है एसोसिएटेड और नॉट सॉरी प्रोटेक्टिव कोलैप्स। कुछ है नहीं, ये मेरा यहाँ पर क्या है, यहाँ पर मेरा एक हाइड्रोफोबिक कोलैप्स है, यहाँ पर मेरा एक हाइड्रोफोबिक कोलैप्स है, ठीक है। दिस इज माय हाइड्रोफोबिक कोलॉइड। दिस इज माय हाइड्रोफोबिक कोलॉइड, ठीक है। इसके ऊपर मैंने क्या करता है, तो आई वांट दिस हाइड्रोफोबिक कोलॉइड इन वाटर, दैट्स माय रिक्वायरमेंट। ये कोलॉइड को मुझे पानी में लेना है, बट इट इज हाइड्रोफोबिक। मैं कैसे हाइड्रोफिलिक करूँ? वेरी सिंपल, मैं क्या करता है, मैं इनको ऊपर में आई डू व्हाट, आई डंप हाइड्रोफिलिक कोलॉइड। आई डंप, इसको ऊपर में मैंने क्या कर दी, मैं इनको ऊपर में मैं हाइड्रोफिलिक कोलॉइड डाल दी। इसको ऊपर मैं हाइड्रोफिलिक कोलॉइड इसके ऊपर डाल दी, तो क्या हो गया देखो, ये बेचारा तो पानी पसंद नहीं करता है, ये बेचारा पानी पसंद करता है। अगर इनको ऊपर में बैठ गया तो ये बेचारा बच गया, मेरा बच्चा बच गया। जस्ट लाइक अ मदर पैडलिंग हर चिल्ड्रन चाइल्ड, ऐसी करके इसको बचा लेता है। तो ये किस लिए, ये दैट मींस एसेंशियली दिस लेयर प्रोटेक्ट्स दिस लेयर, दैट्स व्हाई यू कॉल देम एज प्रोटेक्टिव कोलॉइड्स। बस इमर्शंस तो आपको सिलेबस में है ही नहीं, पहले था, इस साल नहीं है। So this is what protective colloids are. रमिता बुझा गया? रमिता बुझा গেছে?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
दिव्या,
हाँ
गौरव, now let me take a stock of the situation. Physical में only one chapter left, solid state, बाकी सब हो गया। इनऑर्गेनिक में कोऑर्डिनेशन बाकी আছে, আর হাফ অফ ডি 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 বাকি আছে, ডিএনএ বাকি আছে। 1 এটার জন্য 3টে লেকচার লাগবে, এটার জন্য 2টো লেকচার লাগবে, 3 2 5 और 6। ऑर्गेनिक में क्या बाकी है? अल्कोहल्स,
Amines,
অ্যামিনস, এটা ছোট অ্যামিনস একদিন লাগবে। অ্যামিনসে ডায়াজোনিয়ামটা নেই আবার, খালি অ্যামিনসটা আছে। তো 1 2 3 এটা ছেড়ে আর এই দুটো মিলে 4, there are 4. This is the month of October beginning. October, November, December, January. 1 2 3 4. You have got 4 months left and you have got approximately 4 chapters left. I think you are in a very good position now to start practicing. এবার তো আমরা পরীক্ষা নেব, পুজোর পর থেকে পরীক্ষা শুরু হয়ে যাবে, একদিন করে পড়াবো, একদিন করে পরীক্ষা নেবো। কি রমিতা, কমফোর্টেবল পজিশন মনে হচ্ছে?
পরীক্ষা নেবে কি করে?
হ্যাঁ।
কমফোর্টেবল পজিশন?
হুম, মনে তো তাই হচ্ছে।
শর্মিষ্ঠা,
হ্যাঁ
কমফোর্টেবল পজিশন? পরীক্ষার 4 মাস আগে প্রায় সিলেবাস শেষ।
হুম
এটা ফেব্রুয়ারি বোধহয় তোর শেষের দিকে হয় বোধহয় না পরীক্ষা, যদি আদৌ হয়।
জানি না, মানে আগে তো ফেব্রুয়ারি থেকেই স্টার্ট হয়েছে,
এবার
না
তো
মার্চে
এপ্রিল,
হয়েছিল।
এবার হয়তো মে এপ্রিল মেতে হবে, 2 3 মাস তো পেছবেই।
প্রবাবলি এপ্রিল বা মেতেই হবে।
चलो यू हैव गॉट लॉट ऑफ टाइम दिव्या अभी जो करना है कर ले देख ज्यादा से ज्यादा खत्म हो गया
স্যার
ওরা-
পরের দিন সলিড টেস্ট স্টার্ট করবে
না কোঅর্ডিনেটটা শুরু করবো
ও আচ্ছা
সলিড তো তোরা সবাই মোটামুটি একটু আধটু করে ফেলেছিস পরীক্ষা ক্লাসের
হ্যাঁ 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 হ্যাঁ
কোঅর্ডিনেটটা তোরা কিছু করিস নি কোঅর্ডিনেটটা করিয়ে দি
ওকে
শর্মিষ্ঠা কি হয়েছে গলার আওয়াজটা কেন রে কমে যাচ্ছে কেন তো গলা মা খেতে যায়নি আজকে
দিয়েছে
তাহলে গলা আওয়াজটা কি হলো আজকে গৌরব কিছু বলবেন আপনি স্যার
না টাটা
দেখ এবার এবার তোরা কি করবি দেখ আমার কাজ আমি করে দিয়েছি
এক্সাম কি করে নেবে
হ্যাঁ পরীক্ষা ইয়েতে নেবো স্কুলবাজিতে নেবো কোশ্চেন পেপার দিয়ে দেবো কোশ্চেন পেপার পাঠিয়ে দেবো 8 ঘন্টা টাইম দেবো 8 ঘন্টার মধ্যে তো কোশ্চেন পেপার বন্ধ হয়ে যাবে
কি এমসিকিউ হবে
প্রথমে এমসিকিউ দে
ও বাবা তোমার আবার এমসিকিউ তো আলাদা লেভেল
বাকিগুলো তো টুকে ফাঁক করবি বড় প্রশ্ন দিলে তো টুকে ফাঁক করবি ठीक है तो आप मुझे अनुमति दे दीजिए दिव्या तुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है परसों से एग्जाम है ना तुझे देख के लग रहा है शक्ल से तेरा एग्जाम आ गया चल बाय
বাই
এটা কোথায় ভাই তোর বাড়িটা আচ্ছা দেখিনি তো দেখ আজকে অন্য জায়গায় বসছিস মনে হচ্ছে খাটে বসিস নি অন্যদিন তো খাটে বসিস ঠিক ঘুম পেয়ে যায় নাকি খাটে শুয়ে পড়িস ঘুমিয়ে পড়িস